Welcome back, friends. It's time not just for a final matchup of the day, but our match of the day. DAMWON Kia versus FNATIC about to begin. APAC North Stage 2, game number 4 of the stage. Welcome back. I'm Medic. Your host. With me are Ace and Fabian. Ace, you're back. You lost Jeff. Who's Jeff? Jack's jacket. What happened?
I can assure Jack, if he's not lost, don't worry. It's back where he left it in the changing room. But yeah, I mean, what a day we've had so far, and we're ending on an absolute banger here. This could be a real classic.
There he is. I knew it.
It could have been if FNATIC was the FNATIC from 2 years ago, I think. I think we're just seeing a FNATIC taking a sidestep here. They've been struggling last stage massively. And I don't think that they picked up a better player when it comes to, well, first of all, he has less experience. The mechanical part we don't know about. I think it's a positive development for him, though.
Something to look at then for today. And
it can't get worse.
That's certainly one. The thing is, I don't know what it is about FNATIC, and it just seems to keep going. I'm always excited to see. Every time we come in, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? Are they back? And I'm always excited to see. So
they're a little bit the G2 of APAC, though, if you think about it. They have been.
It makes sense because they used to copy all of G2 strats.
Yes, they used to copy all our strats. But also, they were the team that from APAC that always really showed up before. They really just always came to the event. They played really well, and then they went back to APAC again. And then we didn't see them until the next event. And they kept doing that for a long time. And now they've kind of fallen off, just like G2 have. Which makes me not so happy.
No, and of course, Mag is not in Japan yet. We talk about visas. Don't get me started on visas. So hopefully that would happen at some point in time in the next century. But now with FNATIC kind of through, what about DAMWON Kia? Because they also didn't make it to the major, and they choked incredibly hard in the playoffs last time, Tim.
It was difficult for them. Obviously, you know, there was issues there with, you know, with the circumstances the game was played under. It was unfortunate for DAMWON, but essentially, no, they didn't make it there. We need to see now. Just forget about that. Whatever the reason, whatever the cause, you get on with it. You come back stronger, and you prove you are the team that's going to go to the major this time. It's the only way to react. They're one of our unchanged rosters. You know, we're seeing a consistency, stability. There's no reason for them to change. You know, they are still a very, very good team, and I'm expecting top 2 from them minimum. Yeah,
it's my top 1 team for this stage, and I'll be surprised if they finish anywhere else. And Sandbox is going to be my close second, and then after that it's just a toss-up. I think that Zero coming in now for FNATIC can really make a role change, though. That's where I see him really pulling the biggest difference in comparison to Mario, because Mario was playing more of a flexible role, a little bit soft breed or a little bit hard breach with Maverick, and a little bit just everywhere and nowhere. And now Zero is a hard breacher, so now they can move Shibisu off the hard breach, give someone who has maybe a bit more experience because he's played in Tier 3 in Japan, give him the end-round responsibility of setting up the plan and setting up the execute, and then move Shibisu into a fragging role, which is why they picked him up. He's an 18-year-old fragger. Why put him on hard support? And give him the biggest responsibility in the end of the round. Now they have a player that can do that, and move Shibisu on a fragging role. I think it's going to be better for them.
We'll have to see in the game.
Find out, I guess.
The question is now, which map are we going to go to in this one? A 9-map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left, and we'll get more variety. No, actually, no variety for you, friends. It's Bank. We'll go to, again, FNATIC on the attacking side. Now, our lobby is ready. So very quickly before we toss it, what do you got to say, Tim?
I mean, I was expecting maybe a clubhouse to come in. It doesn't surprise me that it was right there at the end of things. Just something nice and standard. FNATIC don't want to be trying anything too flashy. This is going to be one of the most difficult games of the stage. New roster to bed in. You don't want to be doing anything too wild. Bank, I'm not sure it's going to be too easy for them.
Do you remember what they struggled with last stage?
Go on.
All their attacks. Every single one of them they struggle with. And now you go on a map that, well, we saw in the previous game, it's hard to defend on it. Do we think they're going to be better? Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see if that change. Having the role swap and the player swap is exactly what FNATIC needed, because, by all intents and purposes, again, I'm no fortune teller, but it seems like, you know, mind reading wise, DAMWON Kia seems to be the favorite for this one. Let's see how it goes. Thanks so much, Tim. And Fabian, we'll toss it to our casters. Back to Happen Fluke. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos, and we are going for yet another bank here today on our new season with 2 new operators added to the lineup, considering the quarantine is gone. So if you're just tuning in for this matchup, the match of the day, Sense might be making an appearance here, and so will Azami, possibly.
Probably banned.
Could be. I mean, we've seen
He's
a bit
been banned 2 of our 3 games. Sense, they have not been banned at all.
No.
And I would say we saw at least a minorly successful usage in the previous game where they rolled out their new gadget and then a last second plant was done by Sandbox, just tucked into a corner that you wouldn't otherwise expect. So, Azami has a bit of potential. She was also played, not as much.
Yeah, and you know, when the operators were being brought in, when it was announced, hey, the quarantine period is going to end, Azami and Sense will both be in, everybody's like, Azami is going to be a true problem for the game, but we didn't quite see that as of yet. That might still come, however, as soon as we do decide to hop into the game, into Bank, and find out whether or not she will be banned or not.
And that's it. Now, I assume we'll be in the game in just a second. Usually when they're hanging on us a little bit longer, it means something is just being sorted on the other end. But DAMWON Kia, you know, obviously them not quite being able to make it to Charlotte was a little bit of a surprise for people. It was a surprise for them. Whatever reasons came across the board, that is in the past now. Because to be fair, there we go. The section that they weren't able to make that final jump no longer exists. There's no longer APAC playoffs.
Yeah, and that means that these next 7 games over these next 7 weeks are going to be super important for every single team here in APAC North. Every point will count. Every round might possibly count as well. So DAMWON Kia want to start this off with a strong 3-pointer. However, FNATIC exactly the same as well, of course. Whereas they, you know, they might not straight be aiming for a first place or a top 2 finish. They might just be willing to work themselves up the tables first. It's always nice to have yourself in a situation where you can go to the international stage, get some more experience amongst your players. But with the first ban gone, it's going to be a ying from the side of DAMWON Kia.
Bans today, they excite me. They excite me because it's, you know, it wasn't that long ago where you could predict every single ban, and you probably wouldn't have predicted that. As I said, Sans, they're not, well, they haven't been the most egregious operator. They haven't really been a massive problem for people. They've been played, sure, but not in a way that has caused issue. Their opponents, Kaid is the other removal here. I guess, you know, whatever FNATIC feel comfortable or not comfortable with.
Might just see the Azami gone here as well. No, Mirror, okay. So the Azami will be in play.
All right.
Sense they will not be in play. And that's basically the reverse from our first game we had, where Azami was the one that got banned, where Sense was available.
Second game as well.
Yep. So, let's see, as it is going to be a DAMWON Kia starting it off on the defense here, and I believe I shortly saw the open area being flashed there as the site of choice they will go to. We'll quickly get the confirmation here.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many
Yes,
it will be.
The confirmation came audibly.
From the Croatian sensation,
Mr. Maddox.
Mr. Maddox.
Dr. Mr. Maddox. Open area. We find ourselves starting here, and as we said, the test is kind of on FNATIC, and the test is on their first half. Why? Well, let me go down the list of the reasons. 1, they could not attack for all the treasures that could have been offered to them in the world. They just could not thread their attacks together in the early games of the opener of the season, and it lasted, unfortunately, long. It lasted to the point where it became more than just a problem. It was a big problem. It was one that we were sort of noting it, and they were obviously, and they were trying to find ways to bring it back together, but their attacks were just weak. And then you're looking at now a little bit of a change, but also Bank, a map that plays well for attackers. If they cannot find some movement here, it is that sort of warning beacon of, uh-oh, is this more of that first split troubles we saw?
It could definitely be. And, you know, of course, there's always 2 games to half a siege. We might see DAMWON struggle themselves, DAMWON Kia, with the attack as well. But, of course, it's their defense up first. And they're trying to gain some information so they can start putting up the pressure up from the top of the square and make sure that this top floor will be under control. But with 2 roamers, DAMWON Kia is looking to deny that.
Now Chibisu wants to try and put a little bit of stretch here onto the top of the square, and you can see that DAMWON Kia aren't going to play that game. A very quick drop back down. They're not going to try and hold on to it. They realized just how much pressure was coming around the drones and the Yana as well. It truly was a fully focused push here, with the rest being watched from the far side. Just going to drop that so they can fire it through the angle. Just want to drop it entirely so they know it's going to get the catch there and not hit the glass. Gets rid of the lock on the door. That gives them a little bit more room that they can play with, and most importantly, put pressure onto.
Pressure, always important, and deny the information. It allows Chibisu to get that first kill. Coda drops from an angle outside of the tellers. They are trying to force them out of these positions and successfully done so with the very first player on the side of FNATIC. So now they need to start working onto the archives as well, just to make sure that no one has the idea of moving in there. And after that, they can start putting up the pressure onto the open area themselves. Yes, however, inside the elevator, it might be a bit of a problem.
Digging their way through and getting a bit of control here. Attempted and sprayed through onto Yas, who can take the drop if he wants to, and does, just as the drone rolls around the corner again. The heat that comes in from this FNATIC approach behind the gunner really makes sure that anyone who's close is in a danger spot. Chibisu, he wants to open up a bit of a stretch here. Rin's ready with C4, but is actually more concerned about the fight there onto Beepers. Too little, too late, dropped, but they should get picked back up there. And they are able to be very quickly recollected by Lily. 50 seconds left, and FNATIC have just kept the pressure hot.
So drone down there, they might have just seen him there indeed, and yes, still debating if he can go up or not. He's trying to see whether or not he needs to waste time or if he needs to go for the gunfights here, but from the electrical room, Lily is going to be starting to open up. Yes, gets one, and instantly falls off as his position has been known.
That's it, he took the drone and he weighed up the options. Are they going to be waiting? Well, either way, 40 seconds, it'll either draw some attention or it'll draw a body. Found one, found the flight out of there now. Can they turn this into a little bit more of the passion they had before? A late opener means that they are entirely opened by the push into the sight light with the cross angle, and they have a place to plant, but they only have a handful of pocket full of seconds. Lily gets one more, puts it into a 2 versus 4, but it's over the top. And can he find where that kit's going down? It is on the far side. Strikes onto one. No! Swung round. And the second pop-up there is for FNATIC.
The first attack going into the way. FNATIC, as I just said, indeed. And I mean, that quad wall, it looked promising for a little bit there. There was the flank coming in. There was a little bit of damage done, instantly fell off, but they weren't too shaken about it. Still continuing to open up that quad wall. And from the teller side up to the archives as well, I believe there was light just pushing through the rotation hole into the small side office, able to provide a crossfire onto the Maestro, trying to keep that quad wall from opening. And after that, hoping to go for a bit of an aggressive push outward, seeing if he can still find someone with that Aula. Of course, that failed, and that puts FNATIC down 1-0, or actually up 1-0. And now they're headed down towards that basement, towards the lockers, to see if they can double that.
I think one of the things there as well is the roam that was played by Yas. He kept himself in positions where he could put pressure back onto it, and he was successful almost twice. You know, if they had planted underneath the stock hatch, then it would have been his round. But it's nothing you can entirely hedge all your bets on. However, the way FNATIC responded to it was just keep the pressure onto the site itself. They realized there was this loose thread, but they paid more attention onto the clock itself. They said, well, this is happening, but so is this. And this is the thing that will 100% lose us the round. Able to keep that focus and that aggression and drive themselves through onto the site, which was a big problem. Time was a really bad factor for them in the opening split.
So they made the right call, definitely, to go for the push onto the site rather than hunting down that one roamer with the remaining bodies, because, you know, you said it before, this is definitely going to lose us the round. The way you need to see that is that they would run out of time if they were going for the chase, then still had to do all the preparative work, and then there was a Maestro that wasn't going to be challenged. So them deciding to hit that site basically made Yas kind of useless. I mean, he picked up a kill, he was the last man standing, but nothing really he can do after that.
They're not going to hold themselves too close to the fire this time. Last they were a little bit mobile around the entire building, to be fair. And while this, although it's a different site, it's still a very different structured hold. They have themselves all locked down underneath. They're sort of saying, well, take it, go for the clear and go for that static. We have some intel of our own. And Woogieman is stacked up in what is the most forward-thinking position, which is a standard position, a standard hold. It's not the operator you'd always put in that situation, but still, there's ADSs, there's a bit of a kind of blockade for him.
For sure. And as the pressure is starting to arise in different positions now, the Yeah, Black Eyes on the side of Yes are going to be giving away some of the information so they at least know where the push seems to be coming from. Some hard breach gadgets are starting to pop here to open up these hatches. Katsang aware of the fact that there is one or two around the square area. And Woogieman, of course, in a prime position to try and go for a bit of aggression there. He's eyeing it up, but not really wanting to go for it.
It's clever. He went behind the pillar. He got himself in a safe spot. And, well, Woogieman, as the hatch is going to get opened, it's going to put him in a tricky situation because he knows his rotation is going to get cut off. 3 of them stacked up. They have pockets full of grenades as well. And there's the swing. There's 1. There's 2. The M870 of Woogieman's able to do a bit of work. He's flirting with the idea of a 3rd. And as the hatch gets breached, he's actually going to hope that nobody is going to be able to watch it, and he can hightail it out of there. A huge swing for DAMWON Kia. They're able to get themselves the lead in here, 45 seconds, and still entirely stacked up into the site.
I was going to say, he's eyeing up to go a bit aggressive there, but of course didn't want to in the end due to the M870 shotgun. It's better to let them come into that close angle. You just pop them as they do. There was no pre-fire from that LMG to try and mitigate whatever was happening right there. And as they waste all the ADSs now, the push is starting to come through. Lily on top of a hatch as well is looking to go for a bit of a drop, but as Woogieman picks up yet another kill, he's going to go for his 4th potentially here as he knows there's one on top of that staircase.
I mean, it's 15 seconds. There's another player. There's a kit. There's a jiggle peek and a quad with an M870. Yes! Pushes it over the line at the end, but I said it was a more locked in. It's a power position, and he had all the power in the world.
That is going to be an impressive play from him there, potentially ending up in our top 5 plays of the week, I would assume. 4 kills from, definitely, says Medic. So we already have one of those slots sorted now. But playing with that shotgun on that close range is very hard to deal with. You need to follow it up with some synchronized utility tossage, right? You need to get these grenades in as soon as those ADSs are wasted. And you need to make sure that you go for a pre-fire if you come around the corner. It was attempted there, but neither of these players hit Woogieman, so both just slightly off. As he just goes for that quick peek onto the Yana there, finds yet another, and DAMWON Kia find themselves on 1-1.
I mean, it was, as I said, a very different structured hold. To be fair, you can't always do holds like that on this map. This is probably one of the only other sites where you can sort of build yourself that lock-in around Janitors, where we're seeing Kojin set up. Azami on the board for the first time in this showdown in the hands of Yas, a player who is more than capable with, well, pretty much any operator we've seen them try and sling around a map. So there's always that curiosity of what they're going to try and bring. It's the second time we've seen Azami in this situation, the second time we've seen them utilize it on that top window, just on the corridor outside CEO instead of what would usually be a castle.
It sort of functions the same way, right? I mean, it's destroyable. It just gives you a little bit more freedom to try and swing up towards the top of the square. And whilst, you know, Castle is a very good operator to use for it, the Azami just gives you a little bit more versatility. You can toss it onto areas in distance. You can block off some of the breaches that would be made by the side of FNATIC. And potentially, you know, let's say the diffuser is going down, you can try and block some lines of sight, so you could go for a bit of a ninja defuse. So there's a lot of opportunities with the Kiba barriers.
There it is, the attempt on the burn on anything that could try and stop this happening. It was an echo drone that was caught in the midst of things, but the mute jammer, I think, survived. No, it did not. Just caught on the swing of it. The impact's going to catch it. The disc is going to catch whatever comes next. And, well, he's doing everything to try and hold on to this. A second impact and more utility wasted, as well as Chibisu, obviously, in amongst it. Rin just really swinging absolutely everything at this wall. More destruction. This one will get popped off, but to be honest, with how much they've wasted, they have done more than enough. There is nothing left in the pockets of the Habana, but luckily they thought about this and brought the thermite as well for the actual walls they need to get cracked open.
Oh, Kota there just barely living from a grenade being sent in from below. Realizes that as well and is trying to rotate out quickly here. Yes, playing Native Skylight Rin, just patching up that Rin having the hole patched up by the Azami, allowing him to continue playing there. So they just use so much utility, and this is exactly what I was talking about. You can stop these breaches or just close them off again, and they see that now and they're like, all right, well, we just kind of did that for nothing, so they might need to toss a grenade in to get rid of it.
And there it is, more discs, more of this power position locked in. Nook, but at this point you might just try and take the fight, because otherwise nothing is otherwise connected here. There's a bit of pressure and spray through onto Janitors, but nobody feels confident going for the entrance here, and why would you? Everybody's still standing, as well as pretty much all the structure DAMWON Kia have put together. They've still got to utilize those breaches somewhere else, and that somewhere else is the site itself. There it is, the Nook, they're in, they're over the top, and they're dropped in the second round with a drone at their feet. They're able to take out the important player. That gives them still that power over the push itself.
They didn't actually see Coated rotating down into the deep corner of the Janitor there, so if they do decide to try and go for a bit of a cheeky plan, they might find themselves to be caught off by that one player in there with an SMG and a Nitro Cell that comes out right now. Is not going to find anything though, but that is the call that it's now safe to go for a plan. At least that's what they think, because there is a Yoker drone right underneath. It's going to be stopping it. No, misses the opportunity, but we'll find it on the second attempt. A second left on the clock, and gets down by Rin, and DAMWON Kia will win that round.
Oh, you can see Rin just rotate there at the very end, round on the backside. But also, I was about to say, it's very clever, the Echo drone, they found them, they've pinged them, so they know where they need to hit that charge when they go up in case they lose the site. And they still missed.
Still missed, but the second one came through.
The second one came
because
through.
the smoke dissipated right in time. It was a bit of a lucky factor there.
Technically a time loss. Technically around the time. As I said, that was a worry from FNATIC's attacks before, as they were sometimes a bit slow. There was tricky because they were sort of, you know, it's the sunk cost fallacy. It's we've used X amount of utility. What's adding a little bit more to get this wall open at this point?
The one thing I don't understand, though, is why it's always pallets of 6 being sent in.
Yes.
Like, you could just go for 4. Right, and then they use those 2 impacts, and you can use 6, you open it up, and if they then close it off again, you have some pellets left, because it's kind of what they struggle with right now. They had nothing except for a grenade they could toss in, but with the magnets, those would have been caught off and able to eventually connect to the target. Now, on the board is an Amaru on the side of Europe. It's going to be interesting to see how that one will be used. Is either going to be going up to the roof quickly, or maybe taking that top floor by storm. There's plenty of opportunities. He can use the Garhook to get an early bit of an advantage here, but you need to make sure there is no roamers where you will be entering, because you're 9 out of 10 times going to be losing that gunfight. So that's exactly what's happening now. Lily is droning out the CEO, and potentially Euro will just be entering there.
Oh, you kind of want them to, don't you? You kind of want this pace. There's almost a catch on a drone. They have an awareness, and now it's probably going to be the idea of, well, let's not go for that play. Because as soon as a player is in that sort of position, especially there where they were active, they were looking for a fight, you know it's probably not going to go the way that you've put it on the dream board.
You don't want to take a 50-50.
No.
That's it, right? You need to make sure that you have the clear advantage if you're going for one of those gunfights. And, you know, at the meantime, Chibisu's already up top, is opening up, is clearing out the CEO. The drones are still going through, and he can start doing his job with the skeleton key, only to find out that Yas probably going to be completely gone already. He's quickly checking areas where he had been droned from before. Chibisu's using the exact same angle as well where he found Coded before, so they're trying to go into a bit of a repeat here.
Oh, Coded, he's stuck in. He's locked off for now, and as we find ourselves back in the old times, we're going to see if it is a repeat of the olden time we had before. Coded, he's waiting to see if he can get the catch on a head over the side here. You can see Yura has a bit of a stretch around inside the side of the site, or at least around towards the back of the corridor. A huge amount of dedicated intel is being put towards this player. He's actually just going to spray over the top and finds one, and Yura can only just watch on the side of the drone. Are they hoping for a bit of support elsewhere? Well, it's not going to come, as Coated is going to pop up and spray through for 2. Yura is gone as well, and he might have been an easy removal before, but he is proving more than a thorn this time round. Tries to find a fight on the 3rd. Chibisu's had to rotate all the way around to get it. Will he? No. Coated, a triple, and maybe another play of the week.
Definitely is on his way to get there, though. Is looking to potentially find one more. Lily now headed into the archives. Could be one to be found earlier here, as the Hibana just gave away her position as well. Coded's opening up a bit of a rotation for himself, or at least a long angle to try and challenge, and as Lily now falls, it's going to be only up to Siri now. The Heart Breach, sole one left, 6 pellets in the pocket. The Type 89 and 3 flashbangs. This is going to be enough to get this 1v5 clutch. Or are we headed towards another flawless round? No, as Coded gets taken out, brings it back to a 4-1, but with 14 seconds on that clock, it's very unlikely that FNATIC is going to be able to win this round.
Well, a spray round on the side, another round that goes away from them here. FNATIC, they started strong, and since then, DAMWON Kia have hit back stronger. Already, they have the most impressive defensive track record of the plays we've seen of Bank so far. It's otherwise been pretty continually around forward to the opening attack. Here, that story has changed. How much will it change, I think, is the big question now, because DAMWON Kia have performed an entire site rotation. All 3 has been selected. They can now go back for the remaining 2 to see if they can keep the trend alive and how quick they can make this game.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to be the clear winners out of today's Playday here in Coded. He heard the jump in, just decided to go for a bit of a wallbang and found Europe, maybe by a bit of luck, but also, you know, every single time you play that position, every single time you hear someone jump in there, you go for that pre-fire. Maybe 1 in 100 times you'll get the kill. This time it worked out in an official match. It's always nice if those are the matches where they do come together, but it is just one of those things they do every single time they get the opportunity to. You have so much ammunition, you can just continue firing down some of these walls, and it's almost a waste if you don't. Especially if they know where you are already. I mean, just continue holding down left mouse button.
Attackers are moving out to locate
I've heard it's that easy.
It is that easy. It's like,
How's your ranked going again?
I didn't hold down left mouse button enough. Right?
Okay.
So I wasn't playing with the LMGs.
Ah, right. 3, 2, 1. DAMWON Kia, FNATIC. What can you do to step back in here without the timeout that's not been taken? Well, it's now just seeing how much of a drive you can do on your finish. And, okay, they are generally a better defensive team, but you wonder at what point things are going a little bit off kilter. Things aren't quite where we expected them to go, because, well, I'm not going to say it's par for the course. They probably want to be winning here at this point, but it's generally gone further and further out of their grasp.
I think they forgot to reinforce a hatch. Was some pinks coming through. I see one player out there now. It's the Finca that is starting to gain some grounds towards the elevator. Or they might be trying to go for a bit of a nitro self from below, possibly.
I mean, they have 2 reinforcements in pocket.
They do have 2 in pocket, so that means they didn't used to. Well, we know one of them. That's on that hatch. The other one is going to be the other hatch. The elevator hatch has not been
No, it has.
reinforced either. So
Elevator's done.
Oh, it's done. Okay, sorry. I just...
The
Okay.
second elevator hatch isn't done.
The second one's done. Never
Those
mind.
hatches
That's
done.
on
Those
me.
hatches, just this hatch. Thanks, medics, for highlighting hatches.
Yes.
Well, Rin is waiting, but the Gun 6 is a bit further range.
Yeah, of course you hope that they're right on top of it so you can actually instantly put up some of that damage, but not the case here right now. And as Katzing is trying to rotate around, or at least trying to keep eyes and track of the FNATIC players, Lily's quickly opening up that elevator hatch. The second one opened up, but Sirius opening up the other 2 now. So at least there's plenty of opportunity here for FNATIC to try and go for the attack. They just need to get a little bit of an opening kill here. Shibisu has an opportunity to get on top of Woogieman, but is not able to quite connect the shots.
I mean, Woogie Man, I know you pulled off a huge round last time you were here, but that's also the only time you've been able to put kills on the board. Let's not get too overexcited, because that's when mistakes start to happen, and that was almost one that handed them a freebie. You know they're holding the angle in the way they've pushed that before, and you know that you've suffered on the far side of it. Coated, he's on drone, watching...
And spotted.
And spotted. He's being watched by somebody else, and sure, he has the bullet angle there, but you can see the pings are coming through. Do they trust themselves enough to go for it? Apparently not.
They're not going for it. They want to focus on the site here. They want to get that plant underway, and of course there is that cover from the hatch. Lily's still up. There are 3 players actually up on that top floor, so they only need to waste these smokes. But with 20 seconds left on the clock, and I believe there is still a smoke canister left and some C4s, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually pull this off. And the yokai drones
And the
as well.
yokai. There's 2 yokais. It's the one just tucked under the table. Light's going to go aggressive and try and get the fight. Chibisu over the top. The C4 caught out by Light. There's the Echo drone. The first pops off. A couple of seconds and a spray around. There's the catch the player, and there's the rock. There it is, FNATIC. Flawless as they found everything in that final 10 seconds.
Echo there finding himself in a bit of a bad position, let's put it like that, because, I mean, for a long time, deep into the garage, of course, had those yokai drones, wanted to be in a position to go for a challenge, but unfortunately found there before the second burst could come through, which would have won that round, as they couldn't have actually gone in with that plant anymore. And they're 3-2 now. FNATIC will find their second round, and we are headed back towards that top floor, towards the CEO. So we continue the rotation, just not with a win on the side of DAMWON.
It's an improvement. It was very close to the wire. I think that round there was a lot of complacency from DAMWON here. I think it was shown by Woogieman going for a ping, but look at the drones and how free they were to get intel. There was one just stacked up round the corner of the site. They were being joined out in garage. They were sure, sort of saying, well, we're in this position, we're in this position. But they weren't really doing anything aggressive back onto FNATIC. You can't just trust that FNATIC are going to stumble themselves into your guns. We saw how that goes. If you've got 10 seconds and all the intel, well, you have all the intel.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about it. I mean, they had everything ready, right? Like, they had everything available to themselves to make sure that that push would work. They had nitros, they had an extra smoke canister, 15 seconds on the clock, some yokai drones. And I think they all went a bit too aggressive in those last 20 seconds. Of course, Woogieman, you said it, he went for that peak. He took a lot of damage, unnecessarily so. But like, if you think about that final execute, if someone was just watching that one hatch that eventually destroyed them, or someone was thrown near the elevator site, you can watch the drop, you can watch the door, you would have covered off 2 players on the side of FNATIC, you would have won that round. Oh.
Yeah, people know that trick now.
What about a second one?
Oh, don't. Please don't.
There's possibility. Yeah, no, I mean, Light's still thinking about it. He's going for a different approach.
Gone for a different approach. I mean,
He's going to jump up manually.
it's a great little play, but people know it now. And we didn't know it. It was one of the best plays we've seen, but then everybody's seen it. So instead, they're going to go for a slightly different angle. They see that it's free now, so a little bit of parkour will be the answer to potentially this problem. No, can't quite make that second jump, but the breach is happening on towards the site and Kanto by the sounds of it anyway, so they don't really need the Twitch drone to be where it was trying to get to right now. There it is. They have the isolated player on the right-hand side. Yas is just going to see if they can rebuild and restructure. Gets one just in a bit of an angle to cover most of the sight line, but not entirely locked in. So maybe another bit of explosive shrapnel might find its way towards the top.
Potentially could, or maybe another Kiba barrier will be used very soon here to get rid of some of that, lines aside as well. The E1D pops off, and they're really wanting to go up the spiral stairs here, so Shibisu leads the charge with the replica, and let's see how far they can get.
Well, the smoke canister's over it, and Euro's going to drive their drone. As I said before, it sort of went a bit unpunished last time, and here they're going to trust themselves on that intel, the spray and the cut round, but there's a player around elevator. It's Yas. There's one. There's two. No, they didn't get the full lock-in on the first, but they downed them. There it is, though. The pickup on the player. A cold kit and a singular downed person just left on. So they have one at the bottom of the red stairs. They're going to be pre-fired and sprayed round. Lily gets the final connection onto that. And the player on the window leaving just one left. Oh. Yes, gets his triple. And now Lily outside. What can you do? There was only one left in the building, and now you got 30 seconds. Nothing is the unfortunate answer right now. There's a bit of a mad dash that you can make here. Katsang's down in the meantime as well. It's a 2 versus 1, but it's such a big distance to go. So by the time you get to Chibisu, the chances are they're going to already be going down. Echo is back on the board. 15 seconds, as said, not really enough time to get the secure on the player. Takes the fight, unfortunately loses it, and it's an ace. Yes! Well, if we said 2 of the other plays were going to be plays of the week, well, I think we maybe just got the #1 spot.
We might have indeed. Yes, using the Kiba barriers to lock off the long line of sight over Kanto and sneaks in as soon as the smoke canister gets tossed in by the side of FNATIC. And I kind of wanted to compliment FNATIC a little bit over those last 2 rounds, as they wanted to go for a completely different approach compared to what they did before when it failed. This one, however, failing as well. And as DAMWON Kia then now find themselves onto 4-2. Headed over towards the attack, and of course DAMWON Kia, a very experienced roster, a very experienced lineup as well. We'll be coming for a rehost now. Probably will be granted as well. And that means we have a little bit of a break to come through. Just a small amount of downtime where we will be, having the opportunity to discuss what just happened, but where the teams have an opportunity to discuss the next plan of approach as well. Not with their coach, because it's not tactical, but they definitely do have the opportunity to talk amongst themselves.
I mean, it's time to talk. It's time to, I guess, try and get things back onto a hold. And at the turn of the half, at the halftime team talk, is your moment to sort of say, well, okay, this is a fresh set, this is a fresh set of legs. As I said, it isn't quite the result that a lot of teams would try and go for, but it's different approaches, it's different swings into this. This was a huge moment, being able to get into that elevator and then secure 2 kills.
Is this the first Azami ace we've seen in pro play?
Maybe. I didn't watch too much NAL last night.
I
because was in
didn't
bed.
watch all of NAL, and I didn't watch all of MPL.
Does MPL count?
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It's like tier 2.5.
Yeah, it's like tier 2.5, tier 3.
Battlelinks is tonight, medics, so that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't watch all of NAL, but I'm pretty sure we would have seen something about it. So it's definitely the first one in APAC pro play.
Yeah,
Let's put up like that.
Well,
The first one we have seen.
It's definitely 100% the first one we've seen.
Yeah, otherwise we would have known.
if we're trying to clear the threshold of how impressive is this Azami ace, it's definitely, that's the lowest bar, as it's the first that we've seen. It's the first that this studio has seen.
Yeah.
It's
And
maybe the first.
it is not per se the gadget that allows...
It might be the first of all time. That's a very low chance, but it might
I don't think it's the first Azami ace full time. But I mean, until we're proven
until I'm proven
that it's
otherwise
not,
wrong.
it is. But the thing is, it wasn't per se the gadget that, you know, led to it, but it still leaned into it, because there was that moment where the ace was still repelled up on the side of the window, was looking through the wall of Kanto, which was opened up, but that was quickly patched back up with those Kiba barriers. Only one of the multiple applications you can use them, of course, into a live round of Siege, then quickly retaken the elevator at the moment that FNATIC tossed out that smoke. So FNATIC basically took an arrow to the knee, but they shot the arrow themselves.
Wow.
Yes.
What a tragedy.
What a tragedy. Okay. Because that allowed Yes to go for that sneak up, to get inside the elevator, to try and hold them back a little bit there, and a little bit suddenly became 3 kills, and a little bit became an ace. So 4-2. Just waiting for everybody to get back in. I see a couple of the operation backgrounds in the background,
Oh yeah.
which means they're not in the lobby yet.
I was gonna say you play too much Siege, but it's technically your jobs.
It is our job. See, they're joining now. They're getting in. Quickly swap the team and back towards the main screen they go. Can we zoom in on Coded Scan?
No. No zooming in.
Oh, sorry.
All right, we'll be back in the game
Shortly.
shortly. If you've missed it up to this point, it's 4-2. It's another showdown on 2Bank. It's another performance here. We've obviously seen it a couple times throughout the day today so far. It's been a little bit of preference map, which is strange because APAC never really had preference maps early on. They were always, if we would go to a sort of region or a new show day, they would often choose several different maps. They were one of the first we saw playing Skyscraper a couple of times on the opening sort of day, and yeah, there hasn't been a new map in the pool. Emerald Plains wasn't instantly put in. QCB definitely wasn't put in.
Would be interesting.
CQB, not QCB.
I was going to say something.
Quarters close battle.
But it would be interesting to see how that plays out. Just
That's always been my dream
a
show
best
match.
of 5 decider on Team Deathmatch, CQB map.
My dream show match, my recent dream show match, would be for teams that are eliminated on the final day, 5 players from each region in a deathmatch, just to see how good they are. It's like when people talk about wanting to see an Olympic runner against just a regular runner. I want to see 5 of the best fraggers from
Against
each
5
region.
people out of the audience.
Well, no, that would be a murder. We wouldn't be able to. But imagine a team of 5 of the best players that are otherwise, obviously, the ones that are in the final. You can understand they've got more pressing things that they want to do.
Yeah, but who will you put them up against?
Other 5 of another region. So 5 Latin America, 5 APAC, 5 EU, 5 NA. Or if you really want to mix it, mix them up.
So
NA and LATAM, EU and APAC.
Yeah. Have the good old EMEA against the NCSA.
The classic showdown.
Classic showdown. We're still waiting, by the way.
Yeah, we'll be back in a
You can
second.
figure it out by us.
Who would you?
Out of this team currently?
No,
teams?
out of APAC North, 5 top fraggers. I'm putting you on the spot now. I'm putting you on the APAC
I mean,
spot.
definitely Yasin Rin.
Cool.
And like something in me wants me to say Anaton, even though he often brings a shield.
I mean,
he's still a really good player.
It would be entertaining.
It would be
He
entertaining.
would be the one person in the deathmatch with Monty.
And I kind of want
somehow.
to see like the 2 years ago,
that you're not.
Envy Taylor and Shao.
You can't
Duo.
bring the 2 years ago.
Yeah, we're going back in time with a time machine,
Okay.
and then we grab those two.
The technology of me just wanting a deathmatch show match of pros has gone to you wanting a time machine.
Yeah, just so we can get
Uh-huh. Do
those two.
you want what? Time
in their-
machine
their
Fabian?
prime. No, Fabian was not that good.
Wow. This is
Have
your
you
colleague.
seen his stats?
No. Because he
He-
hasn't
he-
played
he
in a
ref-
while.
He refused to play rank with me tonight, so
Okay.
I have to be a bit mean.
Okay.
Get him to.
Hey, people at home, what would be your dream rosters? You decide. Throw it on the timeline.
Yes, do it. Let us know. Let everybody know.
Tweet. The our French production team thought this was very important to tell me that the bag behind Shibasu is written in French.
Yeah, it is. Now I don't know if it says mangement, which is like something we're eating.
Yeah.
I don't know what bois is. It bois?
It's most likely rangement.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but it would have been more
Thank you,
funny if it was
production.
mangement, right? It's like
I like how they're
bag
like,
of food.
it's not a French word.
All right, well I'm
so
sorry.
why did you?
Manger is.
So then, okay, let's stop arguing with production
Sorry.
for a second because they can only hear half of that. Just so you know, everybody watching from home, as we're in this rehost, production said that's a French bag, and we said that's a French bag, and then he went, it's not French though.
I mean, the word is, but the word I proposed wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's like I'm just. Did Light just swap chems like twice?
Maybe.
I just saw something happen there. But either way, 4-2 current score. Let's just see because I think we're almost back at the point. I can see 8 people in the lobby
That'd be nice.
from the side of Coded. And that means DAMWON's still in that lead, DAMWON Kia, and they're headed towards the attack now, which means FNATIC is going to have to set up their defenses. However, and this is something that we've said many, many times before, these kind of timers, they normally favor the attacking team,
Yeah, it's the turn of the half one though.
yet there hasn't been an attack yet. So
There hasn't been an
what
attack
can they
yet.
adapt to?
That's entirely it. This is more just a cooldown for both teams at this point. There's like a length. It's like a graph. It's like the team that's sort of losing has a moment. The attacks have a moment. At the turn of the half, if it goes on for a period of time, the team that's losing probably has the best chance to sort of get their mental back on and break the momentum of their opponents. But at this point, obviously tech being what it is, there's no momentum anywhere. This is like starting cold at this point. And to be fair, when we started cold, FNATIC started with their best round they've played this game so far, outside of a flawless, which was, to be honest, I still preferred how they got into the first because they were so sharp. They were so quick. It just sort of, the pace was theirs from the go. And okay, the flawless was a great round. They had all the intel. It all happened within 10 seconds, which is a risk for me. And although it was a flawless and the other one wasn't, I still think the other one was the go-to. And as I say go-to, we have a little bit of audio. Maybe we'll be back in. The rehearse thing has disappeared.
You can see it. You can see it from some of these cams.
But you don't confirm it until we're in.
That's true. So we're just building up some potential back into the server
Hype.
mystery moment as we are back in the server. There we go, round
Alright.
7, and Locker CCTV to come up. And if you look at the defensive setup, Goyo, Tachanka, Echo, Smoke, Jaeger, 4 of those are directly going to be aimed at the A-bomb site to stop anybody from trying to go for a bit of a plant here. So the ADSs will be providing a bit of a security reason for those players. So you can already imagine what FNATIC is trying to put all their eggs in which basket they're trying to put them.
Yeah, it's an exceptionally hands-off hold here. They've sort of said, well, they're going to play on the plant, they're going to play towards the default, let's lock ourselves in on the opposite side. They have the 2 shields as well. They can get themselves structured with some control here. You're going to see this extension over the top here. You assume Zero is going to drop a shield roughly where they are now, a couple of steps in front of it, so they can play the bounce off of the exit sign and drop it right down. onto default plant, and the other, well, usually you might see it down to the corridor to protect a bit of gold. The Echo is going to be the read on the garage approach. There isn't a Nook, which we've seen played a little bit against the Intel game, but to be honest, this is, as we said, hands off. This is, well, let's wait for them to get a bit of control. Apart from, I guess, that, Rin finds Lily very quickly. Where was that catch?
Quite sure what that was. Currently, medics, the investigators, also trying to figure it out. Could have been blue. Could have been just some quick push to come through. No. Oh, there it is. All the way on the main stairs. So that's just a player trying to rotate out in the end there, unable to eventually escape. And that is very, very sad for the sides of Lily. But DAMWON Kia start off with a very important entry kill here.
That was it, yeah. It was just a rotate that was caught out. They had it on the read and the intel, and they pushed and instantly struck their way through. I said it was going to be hands-off, apart from the single player that got caught out, the pre-fire and the angle onto blue, where I thought the first engagement might have been. They catch the drone, but Yas pulls himself back in. Light, they're in this position probably until they might get some pressure onto the hatch, but the hatch is soft, and with 2 reinforcements in pocket, you wonder if it's supposed to be.
We kind of had it last time, right? I mean, that is a good pre-fire there from Rin, able to find Light, and that is your smoke gone. Just like the Goya, but the smoke is a bit more active in its denial, using those gas canisters, of course, trying to get them into the right place, and that puts a lot more responsibility on the side of Sirun. However, openings will be made. The Hibana is starting to get rid of 2 of these hatches, and we saw those be super successful in round 5 when FNATIC were the ones to drop through in that manner, as they got a flawless round on the back of it. DAMWON Kia looking to return that favor.
There it is. 2 of those Goyos caught in the same blast. The Flores is going to keep himself going and see if he can get rid of any more intel. There's a whole pocket full of shield and 3 ADSs. Gone.
A bit of a wobbly noise there in the end, but Boogeyman is going to be starting to open up. More Retiros are starting to come out, and this Echo drone here knows is going to be a bit of danger. Could be spotted out, and with that barbed wire now gone as well, and the hatch currently being held, suddenly a lot is coming down on side of Yura and Zero, who need to use that utility, but it bounces back, so Yura is going to be forced to fall back.
Did get a kill though, swung around and caught out Cat Sang. In the meantime, Kodad's going to put down another call of his own, 30 seconds, and still some pockets of utility, but DAMWON Kia, they found themselves a little bit stuck and structured here. The Echo drone could be huge, gets itself into a position and gets the ping on the player just over the top, and they're just going to hold themselves there behind the side of the chassis. Yura and Yas, a body a piece, and a swing around the ping onto that Echo drone, and the Echo themselves caught out. Chibisu, all that's left in a 2 versus nobody. There's the catch over the top. They had themselves still stacked up, and with the plant going down, while the player entirely caught and locked out there. DAMWON Kia, a fast start, almost a bite back from FNATIC, but just that early momentum pushed them on.
Actually, quite like the use of the Dokkaebi there. As soon as they wanted to go for the plan, of course, they went off the plan before the call eventually came through, but that way the Echo, no longer immune. Used to be immune when Dokkaebi just came out. Not the case now. Needs to turn off that phone before being able to get back onto these yokais. So, provides a little bit of security if they want to go for such a plant. Now, wasn't the eventual case. They came down to kills in the end as the plant was to be attempted. But it's still a niche little thing to see here and there. And this is what I kind of missed in the game we saw from Spear versus Cyclops. Cyclops not using that castle to block off some of these lines of sight, which seem to be very strong on this map. And especially if they are coming from the kitchen side, there's suddenly a lot of these angles with some hard cover behind as well you can use to stop them from digging in deep behind the kitchenette.
5 seconds left.
Well, will this be the change? Will this be the bit of a swing of momentum? You can see on the top right, it would push DAMWON Kia into first place. Although there have been full fat wins, nobody has really been able to put a proper locked-in win down. It's been a lot of back and forth and a stretch all the way to the end. And here, well, there have been bite-backs before. It's a bit of an early stretch, but you've got to look at how DAMWON Kia keep this pace high. They keep that pressure going. FNATIC, they have a big ask ahead of them, but to be fair, they won there first and things went away from them. Can they do the same response here? Yes. once again, catches out some utility. Really well played with the Flores.
Yeah, well played. He's like able to hit these spots time and time again and get rid of these valuable pieces of utility. Now, well, actually, Lily stopping one of those from happening. There is another way in, though. They need to clear out the wall next to it or create a small, tiny hole, which Jazz could use to get one of those Retaros through, but it's deciding to go for a bit of a different approach anyway. It's going to get shot out as well, though, as Light was very well aware of that one. And that means there's only one opportunity left for the Flores to try and get rid of some of that utility.
That's it now. If they can try and find a way to breach that castle, which you can do very easily, you look at especially what Rin's got in their pockets, not let alone in their gadget, you've just got to put that soft onto the swing round and find a little bit of width there. Yas, talking of, is going to open up an angle of his own instead of going directly for the utility. Instead, gets the wall, makes it a little bit more uncomfortable to play the rotation round from the small box, as we see the rest of DK going for a bit more of a structured approach back there.
Thunderbird Kona Station is healing Light back up to almost full HP after almost losing his life there. So we're going to have a very small overheal here. All stations, thus, are going to be on cooldown now, and with Katsing opening up, C4s are attempted to be baited out, but Shibusu knows better than that. You're not just going to be tossing that one in wildly. You need to make sure the player's actually out there as you want to get that catch. As they toss in one, will not be able to find anything. Now, a Heartbreach schedule will go off, but that might actually give away his position for a second C4 to come through.
As he pre-fired the C4 angle, the impact popped off there, and you can see that Woogieman still has both in pocket. It was a very premature one. And whether they thought it was coming under the cover of the call and they hoped the audio would lock it off, either way, they've still just got 2 more in the pocket of Light, who is dancing around that side and that wall. They're just kind of holding themselves at a bit of arm's length right now. There's the pop, the breach.
Got it as well.
And there it is, the Excalibur, not the Excalibur, even the Thermite charge is caught out.
Both of them. They have 4 impacts around that wall, so twice they managed to trick it, and then the other 2 times they were actually picked up successfully by the side of FNATIC. So that provides for a bit of an issue here. 16 seconds, they need to go for a bit of a hatch drop here. They need to make sure the cover is in perfect condition as well. Zero finds the first. Coda goes down as well.
There it is, the drop on the smokes. Yas is able to lock in Chibisu. There's a bit of a pre-fire, and Woogieman can't get the full connection. Siru pops up for one, Light with the other. Barely any time left, and there's at least an exit. DK were held off the site for pretty much the whole round. Very well played there by a FNATIC that seemed to have a little bit more control than the first round.
They definitely had some control there, but I think if I look at FNATIC's side, there was a small misplay. They weren't quite able to get the kitchen door open. They weren't quite able to get the quad wall open. And of course, there is 4 impacts in that position at that moment in time. You don't just know that. I mean, you cannot see that through the wall, but after the first 2 gets tossed in, and there's another one that comes through, you should have been aware of the fact that, hey, that there might be another impact on the board, because they've used 3, they come in sets of 2. And they didn't actually try and go for a different approach with that. They just placed it again, they lost it, then had to go for a big rotation, which is unfortunate. You might have been able to get the buck over in time. Not quite sure of the positioning and the timing left at that moment. But, you know, it could have been used to dig it in, something we often see with the Sledge, where he slams open that wall, you place it into a bit of a deeper spot, and it's more difficult to eventually get it down.
We are obviously looking at a very different hold here. Different setup from the side of the defense. They've instead got a little bit more of mobility rather than the hold and the ideas of what is you are not getting on our site, because DAMWON Kia disagreed with that and took the site anyway. The differences of the smoke, the sort of play that he had Echo, he had Tachanka, and he had all this extra sort of stretch with the Goyo as well. None of that really, apart from the Lesion, can be a bit of it. Instead, they're going to see if they can try and find more firefights rather than anything else.
Bring some of these LMGs be helpful in some of these pre-firing positions, especially in 1 or 2 situations. You do not have to stop firing as soon as you take the first kill to go for a potential reload. Either way, as just slowing down for just a little bit. Some small openings were made. It's up for the droning phase now. Step 2 of any attack. Try and set up drones. Try and get these early positions taken care of. The grenade is coming around the corner. They're also caught off by an ADS. Smoke canister will quickly follow that one up because Light does not want to be pushed as there is no more support now.
Well, Lily finds Rin in the meantime, and that is a very different story to how it opened up last time, where Rin was able to get a very early strike onto the hearts of FNATIC. You can see DAMWON Kia, they're still cautious. Just trying to weigh up where they need to try and put their approach in at this point. They've sort of lost a little bit of that steam that flew and drove them through what was the opener here of this. And you can see pulling back, re-rotating, reanalyzing. They are a team that can do these mid-round adaptations, but they're a team that's seemingly more and more forced into them rather than dictating the pace of play themselves.
90 seconds. Kia currently a man down. Just looking to find a bit of solidity here. They need to get something they can grasp onto. And this is going to be a hot drop. Yas and Katsang both going to be dropping right into the elevator here. There's a third man as well. Are they going to be able to get that first kill? Yes, they will. The Zero down, but Zero still behind that shield is going to be able to wreak some havoc to the sides of DAMWON Kia.
Well, now dropping the proximity and going for the swing itself. They're looking for the aggression over the top. They can't quite get the full connection. It's Lily that's able to take care of Yas there. The spray through. There's the head of another player, Woogieman. He's able to go big. 50 seconds, though, and it's a 3 versus 2. They've got themselves stacked up, but look at the body. They've retaken the hatch control. They have that verticality. Light is above, and might need to come below in just a second. Do they know? They heard the drop. They're ready for the fight itself. Caught out. Doesn't quite get the full connection. Woogie and Code both massively hurt. Siru, the only player with a pocket full of health. He's ready to swing around. 30 seconds now, and they're trying to see if they can get the stick down just on the inside of the door. Great catch from Coated there. It's Light round on the far side. A perfect place to plant the flash. Just going to stop the catch. The hefty hit of that, the DMR over the top. Coated locked out. The shotgun's going to be that final catch, and now just one more player. They've pulled themselves back. They have such a good place to overlook towards the plant and the site itself. They're looking towards it. It is a very tricky fight here for Light with a gun that is very tricky to control at this range. A bit of a dance past, a bit of a dabble. They're not entirely sure where the player's gone, but they're out there on Overwatch, and well, they're just going to have to see if they can try and take the fight. They're looking for it. They're out of time at this point. They're not going to make it all the way to the kit before they start it. So it's a pickup and a lockdown.
Well played by them there. They decided, okay, we're a 2-man down now, and thus they needed to go for a bit more of an aggressive push. They went for that triple man drop through the hatch. One coming in from a different position as well to provide some versatility to that final push coming through. And a 6-3 is currently on the board in the game. DAMWON Kia leading and 1 round away from picking up 3 points. You see some stretching going on the left-hand side, and they want to make sure they lock it off now rather than in 2 rounds.
Well, that's it, isn't it? At this point, it's just DAMWON Kia's to push over the line. It's not been the biggest problem or concern for them before. They've been able to sort of keep the control, but FNATIC, they at least bit back. They've started to show some of that fight and fire, and you never want to be the person at the bottom of the board of all the 8 teams. They can at least try and close some of the distance. They might be able to find their way to OT. They might be able to get themselves a little bit more of a fight. I'm trying to think of the other results, but we've obviously had a 7-5 is, I believe, otherwise the closest. 2 more rounds, and suddenly they're not that far away from the pack.
No, of course not. But the points are more important. Those make the first difference. Like, to some extent, called the first tiebreaker, but they're points. So it's really a tiebreaker. Not really.
No, it's not.
It is the first thing that comes through, and after that, it will be round differential. So points always more important, but if you get any round, they will always matter. So that's what you need to be aiming for. Every round is one worth fighting for.
DK, it's been a little bit hit and miss at times, but I think that was the problem that we saw in the first. But to be fair, we had those moments of DAMWON Kia that was DAMWON Kia excellence, and those moments where it was like, okay, maybe we've put a bit too much pressure on them. It was a question I had a little bit earlier on in the day when they came up in the discussion was, how are they going to sort of get themselves structured and react? It's the first time that they've had a proper stumble, not quite being able to make a major in a long time after winning over the hearts and minds of a fantastic year, and fair play to them. But it's how you get back on the horse. And here, being able to lock in the most impressive win could be a start, and it's not going to start like that. Siru finds Katsang from underneath.
A good start here for DAMWON Kia. That is going to be your buck gone, a very important one at that. A lot of verticality suddenly off the board. There's still some opportunity though. You have Rin with an impact and 3 breaching charges you could use to get rid of some of these default positions. But still, Katsang with that skeleton key has so many opportunities. You can literally just open up every single floor and wall that your heart desires. It's going to be off the board, and that means they need to force themselves in a different way. They need to find an entry in an alternative way. And let's see whether or not Yes is going to be doing that through the hole that has been created by the side of FNATIC.
Waiting. This FNATIC's game right now, they have the body advantage and they have a rough idea of where the push is coming from, but to be fair, when they played this cautious play before, it netted them a good round. They sort of played against the utility of DAMWON Kia with the impacts on the big wall, and here, again, it's a fight that's gone into their favor. Light is able to Ramadash their way out of there, removes Yas, removes some of the grenades, the damage that Yas can do, and once again, DAMWON Kia are left a little bit wanting. They're not entirely sure where FNATIC are playing from because they're also playing this cautious game. They're not overextending their hand. They're not trying to control most of the map, just making sure they can spark the bits that need to be.
Now need to come all together on the side of DAMWON Kia because there is still quite a bit of a spread. FNATIC, just a single member on the side, but a lot of them are quite close and could instantly come back as Coda gets picked up. Brings it to a 2-on-5 situation. Rin comes in, it's going to be able to deal quite some damage, but it's going to be peeked from multiple different angles now. Gets the first, knows that one was around a kitchen area, but it's like now in that small side office that he needs to find with 13 seconds left. Then they need to go for a plant. It's seeming very unlikely here, but Boogeyman has found himself a way into the site somehow.
Wow, the Ramadash moves a man fast, and yet Rin just going to see if they can get the cover over the top. The plant isn't going to go down. Light had the angle onto Boogeyman. FNATIC, they bite back 6-4. One more, and they've done the distance most teams have that have suffered a loss. Two more, and we're going to our second OT.
Which one will it be? Is it going to be points for FNATIC or the full 3 for DAMWON Kia? What we just saw there is, by the way, the arcs that went unchecked. Started to do a little bit of damage onto the kitchen, then rotated into the small side office. Able to eventually get that diffuser. So just that Ramadash saved him into multiple different occasions there. So it shows that Oryx, you know, whilst on paper we're always thinking about, well, we'll be jumping up the hatch and go for a massive flank. The Ramadash in like an active gunfight situation or trying to get into cover a little bit more quickly is often way better used that way, or at least it's the more common way that we do see it be successful. Now, up to the top floor we go, Emmy. And I believe we haven't seen this one yet from FNATIC. Lockers, open area, and then the tellers. Tellers being the odd one out, so to say.
It doesn't really get played much nowadays. It sort of has its position where it was in the sort of rotation of a lot of sites for a long time, but it's not that it isn't played at all. It's just played a lot less than it used to be, I think, with where Bank used to be set up and you could sort of do your two-story hold, where you just kind of flipped what your old CEO hold was on its head.
Yeah.
And held it underneath and had a bit of an extension towards the right stairs. You just don't really get it as much. Here, CEO, it's kind of in that awkward spot where they're battling back and forth as to what people seem to have a lack of a preference, because open suddenly became such a nice property for a lot of people.
Definitely with Castle, basically becoming more and more popular with some of these teams. Suddenly there's a lot more opportunity. Same for this side, actually. Used quite well here as that is going to be one of the walls opened up. Needs to be a bit careful there as there was one prone beneath the window, but just managed to rotate out as they want to get rid of these Evil Eyes. I think successfully will do so as well with that grenade.
There it is. Yeah, they burnt the utility onto the windows itself. They were able to take care of that Evil Eye. There is Yura playing a very aggressive spot here at this moment in time, but how long are you going to try and stick yourself in that? The Warden of Light knows that if anything tries to be planted behind the smokes, they have the cover, but it's not really the setup of the push that they've got so far. Sure, Boogeyman can play those in the dying 15 seconds, but DAMWON Kia like to try and find fights first. And this one, the grenade round the corner just catches out most of Yura. Can't get the toes to cement the kill, but knows the danger is so close.
The thing with Rook is, it's always a DB&O, so it's not going to be the instant kill that it would have been otherwise, and that provides you an opportunity to get picked up, but as soon as he tries to move out of that precarious situation, it's Yas that just finds that kill, will confirm it in the end, and that's an entry, and more importantly, no more discs being tossed out that will be catching off valuable grenades, smokes, and potentially flashbangs.
That's it. It's a huge blow, obviously, to the player and the position that he was in, but it is a very dangerous position. Now, the plant wall open, Boogeyman's got himself stacked up. Light, as we said, is going to be potentially the big cut-off 20 chance of a smoke plant. You can see the drones are wearing away and trying to get that control. With Chibisu still playing the back line as well, they have the chance to swing around, but Gasang is keeping that covered for now. There's the smoke. There's the second smoke, and there's a player going for nothing. Didn't even need the glasses of the Magic Man, because Zero caught them off at the pass instantly as they tried to smoke themselves a little bit too deep. Rin now hops over on the back line, tries to cut off that swing round, goes for a bit more health and a bit more energy. His Light's doing everything to hold in with that. Lockdown, bounce round, 30 seconds, and the grenade doesn't quite get the full connection, but Katsang sure does. Pops round, is able to get one more. It's sprayed through, and it's back and forth. Chibisu has the answer to Rin, with Katsang once again responding, and Yas finds one more for his trouble. Lily off the board at the end, and DAMWON Kia secure the 3 points.
The final 3 points in the end there, well played, and I'm actually going to say they used those smokes, but they didn't try and go for the plan. I think for a second they actually wanted to plan right in the opening that was being watched by the castle. A very long angle being set up. That's how I like this site being played. Just unfortunately not enough here for the sites of FNATIC to get that round and go up to a 6-5, potentially fight for a overtime hits day. That means DAMWON Kia pick up a 3-pointer and a +3 round differential.
Whoa, that is DAMWON Kia. Whoa! DAMWON Kia top of the board. DAMWON Kia performing well, and DAMWON Kia, okay, there's still sort of room to grow for both these teams, but it is a win, and a win is a win is a win. So we'll be back after a short break with our desk to break that down.